everyone. I'm Miss Joanna, Senior Librarian of Children's Services for the Los Angeles Public Library, and I am so excited to welcome you to today's program. Friday afternoons are usually the time that LAPL, or Los Angeles Public Library, has authors, and we are so happy to bring you our author for this afternoon. Chris Colfer is going to be talking about his book, A Tale of Witchcraft. I know a lot of you are really, really excited. I see a lot of people who've been waiting for this. So I'm going to keep my announcements really, really, really short. This is the last event in the library's Halloween celebration. We've been having programs to celebrate Halloween, and it's all going to lead up to tomorrow, our big Halloween party, which you can attend and find more information on if you click on that link right there. I'll also put that in the comments. So we hope you kids can join us. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I'm so glad to introduce some of our wonderful librarians who will be handling a panel of questions for our author today. Our first librarian is Miss Lauren from the Studio City Branch Library. You may recognize her from the story times that she helps host in the morning and the afternoon Halloween programs that she's been helping out with this week too. And there's also Mr. Chris. So we have two Chris's today. It's truly a Chris-tober. Mr. Chris is from the Chatsworth Branch Library, and he does a really wonderful draw and tell story time, and he also recommends so many great books. Pretty much every title that he's recommended to me, I wanted to read. And yeah, they are going to be interviewing our author, which is Chris Colfer, who I'm pretty sure you all know, but I'm going to do an introduction anyway. Chris Colfer is the #1 New York Times bestselling author and Golden Globe winning actor. He was honored as a member of the Time 100, Time Magazine's annual list of 100 most influential people in the world, and his books, Struck by Lightning, the Carson Phillips Journal, the many, many titles in the Land of Stories series have just flown off the shelves at the library. So here we are. They're about to come on camera, everyone. We'll magically bring them up. We're going to be talking again with best-selling author Chris Colfer about his latest book, A Tale of Witchcraft. And now, to practice some witchy magic on my own, let's bring them on camera and onto your screens. Hi, everyone!
Hey!
All right.
Hi, Miss Lauren. Hi, Mr. Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody out there for joining us today.
Fantastic outfit, fantastic backdrop. You're all ready for Halloween this weekend. Fantastic.
It's my favorite holiday. I had to come correct.
Awesome. All right, so we are going to start off with Chris speaking to us. He's going to read a short selection from his latest book, A Tale of Witchcraft. So we will hand it over to you at the moment.
Great. Well, since it is almost Halloween, I thought it would be really, really fun to read a ghost story that's from my new book, A Tale of Witchcraft. It's very spooky and perfect for this occasion. So here we go. This is called The Daughter of Death. Death, death, death. All right. According to legend, in the beginning of time, Death was very different than he is today. They say he dressed like an angel, that he loved to sing and dance, and that he treated life with kindness. They say Death allowed every creature to live for 100 years before escorting them to the other side. However, all this changed when humanity was created. Unlike the other species, humans always grieved the people they lost, despite all the years they had together. Death found this behavior extremely curious, and he became desperate to understand it. So, Death created a daughter and sent her into the world of the living. The separation made Death miss his daughter terribly, and he finally understood what it was like to grieve. He looked forward to reuniting with his daughter once her 100 years of life were over. Unfortunately for Death, his daughter liked the world of the living. Over time, she learned how to avoid her father and live forever. On the day of her 100th birthday, Death searched for his daughter everywhere, but he couldn't find her. Panicked, Death invented disease and injury to help him look, but his daughter was clever and knew how to avoid his inventions too. Death was so distraught, he traded his angel wings for the black cloak he's infamous for. Although it's been thousands of years since he's seen his daughter, Death still hasn't given up hope, and he continues to invent new ways of finding her. Today, they say whenever Death takes someone before their 100 years is up, it isn't because he's cruel. He's just searching for his daughter, and he takes people randomly in case she's wearing a disguise. All right. I hope that doesn't give anybody nightmares, but there you go. Thank you, guys.
That was fantastic.
I loved A Tale of Witchcraft. I hope everyone at home, if you have not read A Tale of Witchcraft yet, please check it out, because there is, I saw in the chat, they were talking about the cliffhanger, but Chris, all of your books end in a cliffhanger that I love, that I can't wait to read the next one. So
it's a marketing plan.
It's a good plan. So everyone, I could see such love for Chris Colfer in the chat. And this program is for everyone that's watching. So we want to make sure we get to all of your questions. So if you have a question for Chris Colfer, please start putting them in the chat right now. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can. Mr. Chris and I have some questions prepared, but we really want to get to your questions. So our questions right now will just be to get to know Chris Colfer a little bit better, and then we'll go visit the chat and we'll start asking some questions from the chat. Thank you. So Chris, all week long, we've been celebrating Halloween with lots of other fun events. Can you share your favorite Halloween memory with us?
Okay, one of my favorite all-time holiday memories was during the very first season that we were shooting Glee. We had an amazing makeup artist named Aaron who threw a big Halloween party. And it was one of the first big Halloween parties I'd ever been to. And all the guests were other makeup artists who had worked in television and film. Some of them had like won Oscars. Some had won Emmys for their makeup in like Star Trek and monster movies and all that. So they came to the party completely decked out in prosthetics and lights and electricity, and it was just the coolest. It was the coolest Halloween party I've ever been to, and I try to go back every year.
I would too. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
It sounds like when you're around those creative Hollywood types, it would be difficult to top them in any kind of situation like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't even try.
All right. And then my question for you is, so the first Land of Stories came out in 2012, I believe it was, when you were still actively on TV on Glee. So that means you must have been working on it or probably had the idea for it probably a couple of years prior. So was writing something that you had wanted to transition to? Was that something always in the back of your mind? And then also, how did you, being that you were writing them while you were still on Glee, how did you juggle so much between, dancing and acting and writing and publishing and marketing, all that stuff? How do you fit everything in?
It was one heck of a juggle. Absolutely. I've always wanted to be a writer. Ever since I was a little kid, I got bit by the performing arts bug as well as the writing bug at the same exact time. Because when I was a kid, I thought acting and writing and singing, and I thought it was all just the same thing. It was just, for me, it was all just different forms of storytelling, and that's what I love to do. I love being a storyteller in my heart. So I tried writing the first Land of Stories book when I was about 7 years old, and it was very difficult to write a novel when I was 7. So my grandmother gave me very good advice to wait till I was a little older, and I knew more words to use, and so I did, and then later I got cast in Glee, and a lot of people wanted me to write an autobiography while I was on Glee, and I was 19 at the time, so I thought maybe I'm a little too young to write an autobiography when I'm 19. So I said to the people who were offering book deals, I said I've always wanted to write this children's fantasy novel. Can I do that? And luckily I found a great home at Little Brown, And yeah, the first time that the first Land Stories book, I wrote the majority of that book during the Glee World Tour. And so I would be underneath the stage where our changing dressing rooms. So I would start the show. I would sing "Don't Stop Believing" with the rest of the cast. I'd run downstairs. I would start a sentence. I would go back out. I would sing "I Want to Hold Your Hand." Then I'd come back. I'd finish the sentence, and then I'd slap on a leotard and go out and do the single ladies dance. And if I was lucky, I might have gotten another sentence or two done by the end of the show. So it was a really crazy time. I can actually pick up the first Land Stories book, and I can read a passage from it, and I can tell you what city I was in during the Glee World Tour, because I put little clues in the wording.
Wow, you have multitasking down to a science. And that might have to be your next career, is to teach everybody else how to juggle so many things.
Caffeine helps, I will say that.
Okay, very good.
So now I'm looking in the comments, such wonderful, lovely comments. But there are some questions. And one question is from Abby: what is your favorite character friendship to write?
Oh my gosh, Abby, that is such a good question.
Yes.
I can tell Abby reads a lot.
Yes.
I love in the new series, in the Tale of Magic series, which includes A Tale of Magic and A Tale of Witchcraft. I love writing about the friendship between Bristol and Lucy, because it's very much based on me and my best friend Ashley. So there's a lot of us in that friendship, and it always makes me happy to write about them.
Chris, may I ask who's which? Are you Lucy Gousset or are you Bristol?
I would like to be Lucy, but I'm probably Bristol. But my friend Ashley is definitely Lucy. On that spectrum between Bristol and Lucy, she's definitely Lucy.
Excellent. Taking another question from the chat here, Mia and Lori are wanting to know about your writing process, which is something I was interested in too. They say, do you write, do you type, or do you verbally record yourself and then go back and edit it? And they say that their brain goes so much faster than their typing does. So kind of take us through how you sit down to write.
Oh, same with me. My brain is always working much faster than my mouth and my fingers. So that's difficult for me too. I always joke that my writing process is kind of like a cry for help. My favorite part about writing is the moments right before I start writing, or the moments right before I start my initial outline, because I see the whole book in pictures first, kind of like a movie trailer in my head. And so then I spend the next few days trying to string those images together with words and create a story out of it. So I usually start off by doing a chapter by chapter outline with bullet points of what I think the plot is going to be. And I usually remain faithful to that first outline for about half of the writing process. Towards the second half, I end up kind of erasing things and throwing things out, and just kind of going from there and making it up as I go. But I love to listen to music. I love to look at art. I love to watch nature documentaries in between writing, because those really fuel my creative juices.
Awesome.
And then another question from the chat is from Tiffany. What is your favorite book you have written? And what is your favorite book that you have read? I'm sure you have a lot, but can you share with us one favorite book that you've written and one favorite book you've read?
Oh my gosh. That's a tough one. I think I don't know. They're kind of like my children. So it's hard to like say, oh, this one's my favorite. But I really loved the fifth Land of Stories book, An Author's Odyssey, because it's about a young writer who gets to go into the worlds that he's created and meet the characters that he's created. And I thought that was really special. And I've experienced that a few times. Once when I wrote a movie called Struck by Lightning. So showing up to that set every day and literally seeing the characters in the world that had only existed in my head for years prior to that was a very, very, very cool experience. So I wanted to add that experience into the books. And I love A Tale of Magic and A Tale of Witchcraft, because I love the response that I'm getting. And A Tale of Witchcraft is all about mental health, and hopefully any kiddos out there that are struggling with anxiety or depression, they can read this book and it can help them, and it can give them some tips of how to feel better. And so far I've had a really, really wonderful reaction from that. So I'm really proud of that. So that was a long answer, but there you go.
We welcome long answers here. Don't worry about it. Another question from the chat from Jack this time. This one's more of a specific question about your stories. So I think we're going to like that as the author and librarians here. So question for Chris. In the same way that Land of Stories has spin-off books, would you consider turning Daughter of Death into a spin-off from A Tale of Witchcraft?
Oh my gosh, Jack, you were the second person to ask me that. I don't know. Maybe I think that would be. Maybe what I should do is do I have one of the spinoffs of the Land of Stories series is the Treasury of Classic Fairy Tales. So maybe I should do like a Treasury of Ghost Stories, and that'll be the main attraction. So we'll see. But yeah, people really like that Daughter of Death. So I'm glad I read it.
You're right. Your character development is excellent. It's very notable. That's why even a minor character that can appear, I want more of.
No, thank you.
Your books. Definitely. This is a great question. Also, I know there are writers out there. How do you have motivation to continue writing and finish a book?
That's a very good question, and it comes and goes, definitely. And I am very, very much influenced by the state of the world. And sometimes if the state of the world isn't so great, or there's some dramatic things happening on the news, I find it's very difficult to write. But I think what you have to do is you have to fall into the escapism of your own writing. And I remember my mom passed away in the middle of when I was writing the 5th Land of Stories book, and it was almost impossible to finish it because I was devastated that my mom was gone. So I really had to almost become the reader, and I had to write a story that was so entertaining that even I was forgetting my troubles. And I think because I had to do that, I think that actually made the 5th book one of the best books in the series. So I would say to answer that question, or to make a long answer longer, I would say just fall into the escapism of your story and really focus on what you want people to respond to, and hopefully that'll suck you into it too.
Excellent. I'm gonna combine two questions here in chat because I think they can kind of tie in nicely together. So Mio Cat wants to know, how do you choose your character names? And Ari Marone wants to know, are there any characters that you struggle to write a personality for?
Oh my gosh.
Character development there, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I literally sometimes it's names that come out of nowhere, like they just kind of get downloaded into my imagination, and those are the easy ones. I'm always happy for that. Some characters, I look out my window and I just name it off the things that I see. Or I remember there's a character named Sir Lambton in the Land of Stories, and I could not think of a name to save my life. And so I looked over at my desk, and there was I have a Batman lamp, and I was like, Lambton, done. And so that's how he got named. And what was the second part of that question? About
if you struggled to write the personality, or any of the characters gave you a challenge to write for.
Yes, I definitely. But I've been lucky because, especially with the Land of Stories series, that if I don't write a backstory, or if I don't give a character a personality in one book, I can do it later. One set of characters that I had a really hard time giving personalities to were the the Charming brothers, which is Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella's husbands, the Prince Charmings.
Yeah.
Because they were just good-looking guys who had always been rich and royal, and I didn't really know what to write there. But they are actually the bad guys in a Land of Stories book that's coming out next summer. And so I was able to develop them for that one.
You just made everyone in the chats and in the audience out there extremely happy. We can't wait.
Oh, good, yeah.
I see a question from Lily Colfer. I don't know if there's a relation, but she asked, "What's your favorite Halloween movie?" I like that.
Oh my gosh. That's the toughest question I'll ever be asked. I love Hocus Pocus. Let me think. I love the Nightmare Before Christmas. And I love The Conjuring, which everyone on this is probably too young to watch.
Possibly so, yes. All right. Next question I'm going to ask is that so the library, and especially reading, a love of reading, have served as plot points, especially in your previous book, A Tale of Magic. So as a librarian, I feel like I have to ask for all the other librarians watching, do you have any favorite memories of going to a library, if it was a public library growing up, a school library, any of those?
Oh, absolutely. My elementary school library at Mickey Cox Elementary, I was obsessed with my librarian, and I was her assistant for a few recesses over the course. So I would volunteer recesses and after school to get like extra credit points or whatever. And I would help her like decorate the library, and I'd refile books and all that. And when I was in high school, I was a TA, a teacher's assistant for the librarians too during a period. So I've always loved libraries, very much like Bristol in A Tale of Magic.
Yes.
And although my librarians have always been very kind and nice, unlike the one in the book.
Right.
But I've always loved libraries and bookstores. I feel like there's just like an energy to them that's just so welcoming and inspiring, and you step into a room full of stories. What could be better?
Absolutely.
I love it. There's just so many that have come through.
It is hard to keep up with the chat over here.
Yes. I love that shows how many fans are out there of your wonderful books. Okay, this will be a good one because I kind of wanted to know this too. Will there be a Land of Stories movie in the future? Do you ever think that would happen?
I do, yes. So there. I will say there's almost been a Land of Stories movie a few times, fortunately, in those situations, it didn't quite work out for a number of reasons, which I think is actually a blessing. Because I've always said I would rather it be a great book that 100 people read instead of a lousy movie than 100 million people see. But yes, I do think we were actually developing a movie with 20th Century Fox for the last I want to say it was like two years, and then Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and the project got kind of lost in that merger, and then the pandemic hit, and then it got even more lost. So right now we are actually meeting with other people right now, and meeting with new studios to see if we can make it. I do think it'll happen eventually. Luckily, the series has done so well that there is a demand for it. I just hope everyone's patient with me because I have one shot to do the movie, really. I just want to make sure that it is done the right way, and it's a movie that everyone can be proud of, and that they'll be excited to watch over and over and over again.
For sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we will be first in line there to see it when it comes out.
Oh, yes.
I've seen this question pop up a few times in the chat, so I can't attribute it to one person, but lots of people are asking if you would ever write an autobiography eventually. 19 might have been too young at that point, but maybe at some point in the future you can tell us.
Oh yeah, I think I would. I've got some crazy stories. So yeah, I think I would like to write an autobiography one day. I don't think I'm there yet. But I used to say maybe when I was 25. Since that ship has sailed, I'll say 40. I'll say maybe by 40.
There is a question that I'm trying to keep track of so I don't lose it, because it's such a wonderful question that I've been thinking about too. Madame Weatherbury's Academy magically creates rooms based on people's personalities. What would your room look like? Great question.
Oh my gosh. It'd probably be a padded cell. Probably it would be like, it would probably look like Queen Victoria's tea room, if I'm honest. I would say like, oh, a den with like a big screen TV but no, it'd probably be like tufted furniture and just a bunch of cheesy knickknacks.
All
That
right.
was a good question.
Excellent. Another question from our chat then from Louisa Wood says, which character from your books would you most like to meet in real life?
Oh gosh. Oh wow, that's a tough one. I'd say Mother Goose. I think Mother Goose would be a blast to hang out with. And I mean, I love nothing more than a crassy old lady who has stories to tell. So I'd love to meet her.
I love that answer, because Lucy Goose, even though you have to have patience with her, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
She's the comic relief.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, I love this. Who was your role model for writing, becoming an author? Do you have any role models?
Oh my gosh. It that kind of changes as I get older. When I was a kid, of course, it was J.K. Rowling, and it was Ava Ibbotson and Bruce Coville and oh my goodness, C.S. Lewis. But as I get older, I think it's more. I'm not sure the kiddos would know who this is, but I'm currently obsessed with Fran Lebowitz. And when I look at her, I see my future.
Excellent. What would be your specialty if you were either a fairy or a witch?
Gosh, it's funny. I've been promoting this book for the last month, and I still don't have an answer to that question. Probably sleeping. That would probably be my. I'm a great sleeper. Well, my body doesn't like to sleep, but I love to sleep. Oh gosh, and maybe decorating.
Chris, do you ever think that you would write for adults as well in the future?
Yes, I would like to. I have two adult novels that I would really like to write. Two stories. I mean, that I'd love to tell. But writing for adults makes me so nervous. I have some friends who are adult novelists, and they always tell me that no, writing for kids is way scarier because kids are always honest about how they feel about something, where adults are mostly polite. But yes, I think I would eventually. I think I need to gain some a little more experience and a little more courage.
But I have to say, Chris, the themes in all of your books are the way you write them. Children can still relate, but they're learning about how the world works and how it's like for an adult. Because that scene in A Tale of Magic with Bristol and her mom signs it so that she can join Madame Weatherbury's school. That really hit me because as a child, if I read that, I would think, oh, adults have feelings and dreams. That never leaves us. We all have feelings and dreams, even as adults.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. I'm so glad that that resonated with you because I know if it resonated with you, it resonated with a lot of people. So thank you.
Awesome. Another question from chat is there anything that you second guess when you're in the process of writing, or that you possibly regret while you're writing?
Oh my gosh, I think, and if there are any other writers who are listening to me right now, I think we can all agree that to write is to second guess everything. And it's to never be satisfied with anything at all. So I wish I could rewrite all of my books, but I don't think perfection exists, unfortunately, in our field. So that's one thing you have to kind of get used to as a writer, is you're never going to be satisfied. All you can do is tell the story that's in your heart and try to tell it the best way you can. But if you tell the story, then I think you're good. You're golden.
This goes with perfectly about writing. And if you have a story to tell, write it. Mm-hmm. What is your goal for writing, and what made you want to write books?
Oh my gosh. I think it was, I really liked when I was a kid. I had such little control over anything. I loved the sense of control you had as an author, and how you could tell whatever story you wanted, and you were in control of whoever you could make a mouse fight a dragon and make the mouse win. I loved that. I loved being able to create like Cinderella type stories, and just the escapism. I'd say just immersing yourself into a story completely. There are times when I'm writing, right? Sometimes I forget what's real and what's fake, and I love that. I love that feeling.
Absolutely. All right. Another question from the chat is, the question is, how do you feel about adults and young adults reading your books that are mostly for children? I know in our library system, like Land of Stories and Tales of Witchcraft get put in the kids section, but as a guy in his 40s that just read Tales of Witchcraft and Tales of Magic, I absolutely love those books. I have no shame. Do you feel like you have an audience in mind, or are they just for everybody? Do you see yourself kind of crossing over those different age gaps?
Oh gosh, I kind of going back to a little bit what I said. I think I just try to tell the best story I possibly can, and I like telling stories about young people, and I love planting seeds of intelligence and compassion in a young audience, because I really feel like that is how we are going to change the world. I love. I guess I love writing for young people. I guess I get a little embarrassed sometimes when I hear about adults reading my books, because I don't know. The good thing about being an author for a young audience is you don't necessarily have to be the best writer. As long as you tell an entertaining story, kids are going to love it. So I kind of love getting away with that. But whenever I hear about adults reading my books, it almost adds pressure to it.
No, there's no pressure here, because we love your
Thank you so much for saying that.
Okay, I lost the question, but I apologize. I'm going to try to remember it, because it's just such a great question. What advice do you have to instill values and confidence in children and in your readers?
I would say read as much as you can, because sometimes nothing helps us learn morals and lessons and values like reading about someone else who does. To any parents listening right now, I'd say to start reading to your kids as soon as possible, and start reading them fairy tales. Start reading them the classic fairy tales by Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen and Charles Perrault, because those stories are filled with very valuable lessons and great pieces of advice about life and about growing up. And if you install those in a child early enough, if a little kid hears the story of Little Red Riding Hood when they're very, very young, they will know the rest of their life to not trust strangers and to always be safe and look both ways before they cross the road. So yeah, I'd say read. I'd say read.
We support that message as librarians.
Yes, I was saying, we love that answer, Chris.
All right.
I know my audience.
Lost track of the question, but you were talking a little bit ago about translating Land of Stories to movies as well. So somebody was asking if you secretly fan cast characters in your head while you're in the process of writing them.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. So the problem with it is I've been fan casting forever. The problem is especially Alex and Connor, kids grow so quickly that but honestly, every single person that I've wanted to cast in the Land Stories movie has gone on to be a huge star. So I think that's a good sign for me as maybe as a casting director. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember I wanted Jennifer Lawrence to play Goldilocks, and I remember I wanted oh gosh, I wanted what's her name? The actress who plays Victoria in Victoria, Cole. I'm blanking on her name. I wanted her to be Little Red Riding Hood. But now, of course, they're all of us are in our 30s now, and we're a little too old to play those parts. But I feel like when that happens, I do feel like there'll be, well, at least fingers crossed. I hope there'll be a little magic to that. I hope we really find the right people. And I think yeah, I'm just really excited for it all to happen. I think it's going to happen sooner than later.
Awesome.
So everyone, we're nearing the end of this great program. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have time for 2 more questions. So please make them good. So I'm going to look for a good one right now.
No pressure, guys.
Yeah.
I love this one. Oh, I lost it. It was about Bristol because we haven't talked too much about. Okay, here we go. If you had the chance, like Bristol, to cast a spell, what would you do with that spell?
Ooh, I would. I think I would try to, and this would be power that Bristol doesn't possess, but I would try to get rid of prejudice.
I'm on board with it.
Yes.
Simple answer. Yeah, I probably could try to get rid of prejudice and just try to overall create a fairer and more compassionate world.
Love that answer.
Love it. Yes.
I feel like I'm on Miss America.
Practice your way.
Elbow, wrist, touch, shoulder, blow, kiss. Yeah.
All right. So we know Land of Stories and Tale of Witchcraft, Tale of Magic are all set in fantasy world, but are there some parts of your books that are based on your real life experiences? Yes.
So in the 3rd Land Stories book, A Grim Warning, and the 6th Land Stories book, Worlds Collide, everywhere that Connor and Bree and Emmerich go in Europe, I've been to, and everywhere they go in New York, I've also been to, and that taking author trips around the world to make notes of what things look like and what those experiences are like, so I can write about them later is my favorite part about writing. But their adventure in Neuschwanstein Castle, I did in Germany. Going into the graveyard of where the Brothers Grimm are buried, I did that. I didn't break in the middle of the night like Connor and Bree do, but I've been to those graves. And it's going. I actually got to go on the roof of the Empire State Building, which was really, really fun. Not the observation deck, but like at the very, very top, like where they shoot King Kong. That was really cool, and wouldn't have been able to do that unless I was an author making notes about a new book.
That's amazing.
Oh, I love it. I hope everybody had a wonderful time. I sure did. It was so nice to get to know you, Chris. We love your books, but it was also great just to get to know you a little bit as a person. Thank you so much for your time.
Scare anybody away.
And your talent. That is for sure. Your books never stay on our library shelves, ever.
Oh, good.
But
I'd love to hear that.
I have copies right here. Now, the Land of Stories series, A Tale of Magic, and Mr. Chris has A Tale of Witchcraft. If you want to enjoy these books from home, you can with the library's Library to Go program. That's where you can go on the library's website, put those books on hold, and make a contact-free pickup appointment at your nearest Library to Go hub. I mean, come on. Chris Colfer's A Land of Stories. I know some of you are rereading it 5 times. So reread it a 6th time. Place it on hold. And we do have A Tale of Witchcraft now available at the libraries that you can place a hold and pick up. Thank you. Mr. Chris, would you like to add anything before we say goodbye?
No, this has just been an absolute delight to talk with you here, Chris. And the questions are still coming in, so you have not scared anybody off. You still got all your...
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. And thank you guys for doing all that you guys do. Libraries always make the world such a better place. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris Colfer. This is unforgettable time with the library and with Chris Colfer. So thank you, everybody. Happy Halloween. Enjoy your Halloween spooky weekend. Bye, everyone.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Mr. Chris.
Sure.
Bye.